Does someone say threesome?
Oh no!
Was that yours?
That's mine.
Oh my god.
No, listen.
Wild.
Mine is. I'm here for the gangbang.
Yeah. Here for the circle jerk.
Yeah. Did someone say anal?
You're listening to the Laughing Couple podcast with your hosts, Brittany and Ryan Ostafy. Join them weekly as they discuss topics such as relationships, kids, sex, parenting, all unfiltered and all with a healthy dose of laughter. Please welcome your hosts, Brittany and Ryan Ostafy.
Check. One. Sibilance. Sibilance.
Okay.
Check. Two.
Good morning.
Good morning. Guten Tag.
Guten Tag. Okay. Should we get right into the or do you want to do what dance Mardiak first?
Let's get into the.
Yeah, I think it's like very like in our brains. So I think we should get into it. So somebody had commented on
Read the comment.
Yeah, someone commented on the video of the Great Fall of Ryan. The reel that we made, and someone wrote.
This is what I love. This is what I love about our community. Number one, there are so many funny people that are out there, like way funnier than we are.
Way funnier than
the internet almost always wins. And this comment, as soon as I read this comment, am I allowed to say who it came from?
Yeah, I think it's fine.
How would you pronounce that? BKS Only Hope?
Yeah.
BKS Only Hope?
Yeah.
Or do you think that's Baxunle Hope?
No, I don't think so.
I think it's BKS
Anyways, it's in
Only
response
Hope.
to when Ryan fell and we were like jarring or whipping off things about like being like, hey, how's it going? Just like this random dude falls into the room. And so this girl wrote,
he's trying to reach them about their car's extended warranty, which I thought
I heard you cackling upstairs.
I read that and I'm like, that is so funny to me.
Because it also reminds me of like, do you want to save money on like the Geico commercials? Like it comes out of nowhere. So then we started like crying this morning, laughing about going back and forth about just like the random things that people could say. Right.
Yeah.
And so actually our producer just had one. I don't think it was supposed to be one. I don't even know if I can say that because it's so personal, but like someone falls in. I can't even
start with the.
Then you go ahead.
Yeah. Hello, I'm here to talk to you about the Lord
and Savior Jesus Christ.
The Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
I think you have to like picture it. I almost wish that we could reenact it. Like, when was your last pap?
No, think about it. Just think about it this way. You're sitting on the couch and you're talking to someone on the other side of the couch and in comes this flying man out of nowhere, misses all 5 steps, lands right in front of you. He's got to say something or she's got to say something to break the awkwardness. But by saying something, it becomes more awkward.
It becomes so awkward.
So you got one?
I do.
What is it? Start with the
Okay. Oh, that was so good.
That was really good. Do it again.
A cookie a day keeps the doctor away.
What? Isn't it an apple?
It is, but I think it's funnier that it's cookie.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
No, I'm going to be...
That was so bad.
That was like a slap.
Yeah.
Like
yeah, that's good.
Are you Brittany Ostafy?
Yeah.
You've been served.
Can you imagine just like hands?
Yeah. You've been served.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Okay. What is the other one? Okay. No, wait, that wasn't as good. Sure.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, sure.
That wasn't
sure
even
thing.
It, but that's actually
sure
what I'm going to
thing.
leave it.
Yep.
No,
Yep, I'm here. Sure.
Does someone say threesome?
Oh, no!
Sure. Was that yours?
That's mine.
Oh, my God.
No, listen.
Wild.
Mine is, I'm here for the gangbang.
Yeah. Here for the circle jerk.
Yeah. Did someone say anal? Oh, my God.
I heard you need more lube. You just coming out. Okay, anyways, let's move on.
Did you say it was Taco Tuesday?
I'm sweating.
Jake, do you have any? Give me a...
Is this the stairway to heaven?
Is this the stairway to heaven?
I keep on falling. Can you imagine? They just start fucking singing. Okay.
No, listen.
Why am I sweating?
Karaoke starts 7:00. Just so you know.
Okay, let's go into this. Yes, or what day is it?
Today would be.
It's Wednesday.
No, today would be Tuesday.
Yes, right. But we're recording on Wednesday. A couple days ago, we went golfing with my best friend and her partner Andy, and it was such a good day.
Fine girl.
That's Brandy.
I know, but I took the B out.
Brandy. Yeah. Okay. So
and the R.
Before we talk about what dents my dick,
Brandy. I took 2 letters out.
I want to talk about Ryan was driving the golf court.
What?
Ryan was driving the golf cart, and there was a part on like the grass that was so bumpy. I don't know if you were just like, yeah, we'll be fine.
No, I was looking for the ball. I wasn't paying attention to the grass.
They were like,
I wasn't paying attention to the undulations.
They were fucking moguls. Like, he was like, hit the nos. We went over these things. Ryan smashed his head on the top of the golf cart. I almost fell off. I was laughing so hard and like bleeding internally, but it was so funny. And you were so alarmed. Like, you were like what just happened? I'm like, you're the one who was fucking driving.
I went from driving, looking to the left to find my ball, to being concussed with internal bleeding.
It was a lot.
And my nut, I like sat on my right nut.
Oh my God, it was so funny. And so then we parked and we look over and Deaky and Andy are are you okay? I'm like falling off. I was laughing so hard.
Just imagine you're driving and it's not like the golf cart. The roof is like an inch from your head to begin with. It's a significant difference between you and the roof.
You are literally to be
driving and go like, poof,
yeah,
out of nowhere.
Didn't my uncle like run into a tree?
Your uncle took the roof off of his golf cart by running into a tree. Same thing. He was looking for.
Decapitated the golf cart.
He could have died.
I know. He didn't.
Those are like my favorite videos to see on Instagram.
Me too. I just said that. Those funny like golf videos from like the guys who just completely schmammed on the golf cart. It's actually quite dangerous. I don't know why they allow it.
I saw a video of these 2 grounds guys. They were obviously teenagers. It was obviously a summer job for them. And there's this course where they have to take this bridge from one part of the fairway into the green. And they took it as fast as they could and dumped it. And I'm not talking like dumped it into the water. I'm talking dumped it and the thing fell like 7 to 10 feet into the water upside down.
Oh my God, were they still in it?
Of course they were still in it. But the thing I love the most about being a guy is when that happens, there's not even a part of you that's like, oh my God, are you okay? It's like,
crying,
oh my
laughing.
God, that's the greatest thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
As long as everyone's okay.
And then you see the guys like floating back up, and then you check, oh my God, are you okay? But the idea, and it's like, when we were out camping with your mom, not camping, we were at their cottage.
The lake house.
You fell on the dock. Like there was a slippery part of the dock. And I was like, I would say 100 feet from you. I
ate shit.
Waiting for you to come around. So I saw you slip on I don't even know, the algae.
It's like the algae.
The algae. I saw you slip on it and I looked and I was like, part of me wanted to laugh really hard. Listen, but I didn't know if I was allowed to. So there's a bunch of people who don't know me. So I shout across this lake. I'm like, am I allowed to laugh at that or are you hurt? You're like, you're allowed to laugh. I'm like, oh my God. So I start laughing.
Wait,
as I start laughing, your mom comes up to you like, are you okay? Boom! Fucking falls on the same algae. And now I know that she's not okay because she stayed down.
Poor thing. And it reminded me of like the,
the grape girl.
Yeah.
It hurts.
Like, it hurts. My fucking dad too. He was like, Jesus Christ, Cam. Like she just said, watch out for the algae. And she was like, I didn't know.
You watched her step on that. Thing. You watched her fall. And then you do the same thing.
But she was
I'm married
strong.
to a
She was
moron.
like, I'm fine. I'm fine. And like
she limps away. Down. She's like,
everything's fine.
I'm like, can someone pass me a paddle? She's like, I'll get it to you. Limp, limp, limp. I'm like, can someone who can walk get me a paddle, please?
Oh God. She would never admit that she was in so much pain, but it was bad. Anyways, so when we were golfing, we were talking about golf etiquette because Ryan's always like, I was so paranoid because I kept being like, let's let these people in front of us because, you know, like I'm not an avid golfer. I'm not bad at golf, but I'm not like amazing at golf. So I just didn't want to keep people like from doing their game, right? You have to stay on a schedule. So I was like, let's just let them in front of us. Let's just let them in front of us. And Ryan's like, no, like as long as you're prepared and ready. It's okay that you're slow. It's just like people get pissed off when you're like lazy, lackadaisy, like not ready to hit, like, and just like wandering around. I'm like, that makes a lot of sense.
Be on the tee block with your ball,
yeah,
with your club, with your tee,
with your concussion.
Get ready to hit. If you suck, you suck. Yeah. But as long as you're ready to play the game, then you're fine. Because there's always going to be, and this is not an I love you and you're annoying, because it's just important. Gentlemen, a lot of your wives don't play golf. Some of them do, and some of them are phenomenal. And be honest with you, some of them are better than you. Ooh, that's just the way it is. Golf is one of those sports that it doesn't really matter what sex you are. Distance, maybe, potentially, but that gets made up from the tee blocks. There are definitely women out there that are far greater than you. Your wife is probably better than you at golf. If she tried and she just played more often, she'd probably be better than you because she doesn't need to kill it. Anyways, what I'm getting at is many of your wives do not play golf. And when you do go and play golf with them, I'm not saying that they rob you of the fun of golf. I'm not saying that. But I am saying it is important. It is very important to let them know what the golf etiquette is. Because when the person behind you, the team behind you, the group behind you is pressing you constantly, you can see that they're stressed. They've got their hands on their hips. They're like, like when we were golfing, the one guy behind us, the one dude behind us, there was a bunch of practice shots that were taken, and the guy says from the tee blocks, "Just hit the ball."
Yeah, it was so mean.
Now so I felt that, but the fact that he said that made me absolutely enraged. So my whole thing, that's what I said to you.
But it wasn't even on it was like in the fair. It wasn't the drive. Like,
no, he was waiting to drive. She was in the middle of the fairway. Yeah. He couldn't drive until he had moved to our next shot. But this is what I said to you. I said, like, because you're always stressed out, and she was always stressed out. And every time we go golfing with any partners, the girls are always stressed out that they're not doing things, blah, 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 blah. My whole thing is just get out of the cart, be prepared. Be prepared. I know you guys want to talk. I know you want to have a good conversation, but when we're on the green and we're about to putt, be prepared for your putt. You can't be 50 to 60 feet away from your ball having a conversation. Then it's your turn and you walk up to the ball, because that's what people notice. That's what people see. So it dents my dick a little bit. But it's important. Just let your partner know what etiquette looks like on a golf course, because as long as they're prepared and know what it is that they're supposed to do, they don't have to be good at it.
That makes sense. We had a lot of fun too.
We had a great time. As soon as it was about the third hole when I told you, Brittany, there's always going to be someone behind you. It doesn't matter. We don't have to keep letting people go past us. There will always be someone behind us. We don't have to let them play through. Just be prepared and you're fine. As soon as that happened, that conversation happened, you were relaxed. You had a good time. We hit a speed bump, almost died.
I made a really good putt.
You made an incredible putt.
That was good. Yes.
Not as good as Andy's. Andy's was about
good.
A 47, 49. I can't be more specific, foot putt. Just a little right to left, drop.
I'm like, who's that? Andy Woods? Dika's like, yeah, Tiger Woods. I'm like, no, no, Nate, I made the joke. Like, it's Andy Woods. She was like, get it. Didn't understand, but I get it now.
I got it. Okay, let's go back.
I was going to say, what twists my tits?
Well, what twists your tits?
What twists my tits? What really twists my tits is that, okay. So
I love Cooper that we've moved on from the I love you and annoying. I kind of
like this a little bit better.
Because you're not always annoying.
Yeah.
But there are things that are annoying.
Agreed.
And those twist your tits.
They do.
Yeah.
So the kids are at camp this week, and we dropped off Cooper to his camp. And he this is the first camp that he's not with Riley. And he was nervous. And so we got there, and Cooper's 5. Okay. So this particular camp, it was much better, by the way, today and yesterday. So it was just the first day. But we dropped Coop off, and I'm like, hi, like, I'm looking for group 1. And the girl was like, she's like, okay, sign here. Like, no, hello, how are you? So I signed Coop in, and then Cooper is like visibly like scared and upset. The girl doesn't even say hello to him, doesn't say like it's okay or just like no worries. There was no interaction. And I was like, this hurts my heart a little bit because these little kids are leaving their parents. They don't feel safe. And it just takes one thing. Like it goes back to the hotel where it's like, this is your first impression. My first impression is of somebody who is not very pleasant. Like, anyway, this wasn't his group leader. She's amazing now. And maybe this other girl it was chaotic. And I had so many excuses and benefit of the doubt. I get it. But I was like, it doesn't take a lot just to be like, hey buddy, like, I see your name's Cooper. Like there was nothing. And I was like, this really twists my tits.
Here's the thing about this. And we talked about this. We've got some friends who were adopted as children. Yeah. And first of all, anyone who adopts a child, I think is a saint. Mm-hmm. It's probably the coolest thing you can ever do is to take someone else's child and make them your own. That takes the most amount of heart ever. But we've talked to a lot of the people who were adopted. And they live not all of them, but the ones that we have talked to live this world of like abandonment where they feel like everyone is just at some point in time is just about to leave them, right? Children instinctively feel that they have this need for connection, and your parents up until like the age of 7, like your parents are your people.
They're your safe zone.
So when we pick our kid up and we bring them to a location and we drop them off, there's this sense of abandonment. Yeah. My mom or my dad, my safety blanket is taking me somewhere where I don't know, and they're leaving me there. Mm-hmm. All it takes to remove abandonment is the feeling of being wanted and being safe.
And safe and a smile.
And all it takes is one camp counselor to get down and be like, "Are you Cooper? Cooper, my name is X. It's so nice to see you. We're going to have so much fun this week. I can't wait." Right? That little bit is like, I belong and I'm safe.
Yeah, for sure.
Because when you leave and they're waving goodbye, how long does it take from the goodbye till they're talking to someone?
Right.
And that period of time is got to be terrible for a child to sit there and wait for communication, wait for a contact, wait for something that says, I belong here. It could be a half an hour where they're all in the groups before they even get one interaction. So my whole thing is if you're a camp counselor or you're dealing with children, be the first person. If you're the first person they see, be that
safety zone
place for them.
Yeah, and
let them know they belong. Let them know that you can't wait to see them.
I feel
and
so
I'll tell you,
old
it changed the whole thing.
Saying this, but like I remember my parents would be like, it's so teenagers are so different these days. Like blah blah. I truly feel that. Like I feel most of the time the interaction I have with teens, and I'm not saying everyone because there are some lovely teenagers out there. I used to teach high school, but sometimes I'm noticing, especially from the pandemic, I just feel like maybe there isn't that like social presence, social awareness that they would have gained over those couple of first years of high school. Like I find that they're just like, they don't give a fuck. Like the guy on the boat, remember when we rented the Sea-Doos? He was like, do you know the safety rules? And we were like,
how the fuck would I know the safety rules?
Have you ever been on one of these? I'm like 15 years ago. He's like, yeah, just hit the clutch here and you're good to go.
Not much has changed.
What?
Stick to the left of that buoy.
And then we had come back.
I'm like, well, what if I'm coming in? Well, yeah, that's a little confusing. Just stay away from the rocks.
The point of it is that I find
here's something that goes 80 kilometers an hour on the water.
I find they're not very friendly. That's all.
They're not.
No, I'm just.
Not only are they not really friendly, you hit the nail on the head. Something changed in COVID. And we've talked about this a numerous amount of times.
It's just kind of sad.
It's like when we were at the restaurant, when we were with your parents at their place.
Oh, yeah, that couple.
There's this couple and this daughter.
So rude.
This daughter was about 3 and she was just.
No, she was a baby.
No. I'm talking about the 3-year-old.
They also had a baby?
They did, but they had a 3-year-old that was wailing, just screaming. And me, when it's a full group of other people that are clearly annoyed by this girl screaming.
You want to make them feel comfortable.
I want to make them feel like, hey, listen, it's okay, right?
We've been there.
So I said that. I'm like, hey, man, been there. I understand that. The
fucking dead silence.
It was like, cool. I'm like, no, I'm on your team here.
Got 2 of those at home.
We're parents. I've got 2 of them. They're right here. They're shitheads sometimes. I get it, man. Like it's good. Cool. And he's like, yeah. You're cool.
And then didn't you say something else after too?
I'm like,
there was a second interaction.
Yeah. Then we saw them after with the baby, and it's the same. It was the same situation, very similar. I'm like, hey, listen, these days. What did I say?
You better not have said the days are long.
The days are long, but the years are short.
You didn't. Did you actually say that?
No, I said something corny like that because now I'm dealing with the woman. So I thought, okay, I'll take a little bit of a softer approach.
No, you didn't say that. You said something
and
else.
She looked at me like I was stranger danger, like I was freaking, what's his face? Ted Bundy.
Yeah. But you had we were all right there.
I'm like, I've got my kids right here. I've got my wife right here. I've got my in-laws right here. I'm the most relatable person in this room right now. And I'm just trying to let you know that it's okay.
Right. Yeah.
Neither of them wanted anything to do with me. It's like, don't fucking cough on me. Mm-hmm. I'm like,
I will say this though.
COVID's over, man. Let's just put a smile on your face. You're here on vacation. We're up north. Like, it's beautiful. The sun is shining at night. The stars are all over the place. Like, get your shit together and let's have a good time.
I will say this. I need to just clarify that there's definitely been moments where your kids are losing it. I remember specifically being in Walmart and Cooper was losing his mind. Riley was young, but he was a baby. And this woman was said something along the lines of maybe he's hungry or trying to offer advice. That is not what you were doing.
I'm not saying advice.
No. It was just to make them oh man, don't worry. Do you know what I mean?
It's like the.
That was so off key.
Hey her.
Anyways, so I just want to clarify that's not what Ryan was doing because I absolutely can see how annoying that would be if you were the mom trying to attend to a tantrum or a crying baby. That's not what Ryan was doing.
That.
They
I wasn't
were just grumpy.
Let me give you some advice, brother.
Anyways.
I wasn't doing that. I was just yo, been there, man. It sucks.
Okay.
I got you. Speaking of the cottage.
Yeah.
I love the relationship that we have with your parents. I love the relationship we have with my parents. I think it's super unique that we both have parents that we can sit down, have a couple drinks with, laugh, play games with, whatever. I just want to do a little shout out, call out. You, myself, and your mom, while playing Crazy Eights Countdown, had an unbelievable conversation. Really nice. About love languages. Now, we've had this conversation about love languages, and we've also come to realize that we don't know shit about love languages. We don't know what they are, but we did a little bit of research in this conversation. That's not the point of this. What the point of this conversation was that we had with your mom was that everyone has usually a love language on how they receive love and a love language on how they give love. And they're usually not the same. But your partner has a receiving and a giving. And more often than not, how you give is not how they receive.
Right.
And so we had this conversation, debate, but wasn't debate. It was a
really nice discussion. And basically was and you know how we say we don't know shit about love languages, but I think in encompassing the whole conversation, we kind of just decided that as long as you are communicating with your partner, with your spouse about how you receive love and how you give love, it's okay to get it wrong sometimes, right? We were talking about how I'm well, what's mine? And I was I'm pretty sure it's acts of service and how I want to receive it. And you were no way, blah, blah, blah. And no, that's how I give. That's how I was giving because I do acts of service to help alleviate your stress.
Right.
And you were no way. And then we looked it up and you're yes. But then I also what was the other one? Oh, quality time.
Quality time.
Yeah. Quality time is how I receive.
And no, it's how you give.
Yeah. And how I receive.
Yeah. It's definitely how you give.
Yeah. Anyways, it was more you don't need to choose one. And sometimes you're a little bit of everything, but as long as you're communicating with your partner, this, as much as I appreciate you doing this for me, because your partner's sitting here being I put all this effort in and my partner doesn't seem grateful. We talk about back when you would plan all of these trips and I would be this is amazing, but I would immediately be ooh, how much is it? And it would diminish all of the planning that you did. And we had a conversation about that. And I was holy shit, I can absolutely see how devastating that would be for you putting all of this effort in. And then me being well, that, essentially without saying it, that's not how I receive love. And it just makes your effort.
Thanks, but.
Right. Exactly.
It's a thanks, but.
So it was more just it was a very honest conversation. It was interesting to hear from my mom, a boomer, how they communicate and how they do their things, because sometimes boomers are pretty stuck in their ways.
Your dad was so funny. So your dad was eavesdropping. He did not want to be part of the conversation, but listened to the whole thing.
No, he was with the kids.
No, he wasn't. He was on the computer. Anyways, it was funny because the whole conversation kind of went like this. It was like, how I give love is not how you receive love, but that doesn't mean I'm not giving you love.
Right.
And it's like, acknowledge the fact that that's how I give. I'm a gift giver. I like providing things for people, experiences, things. I like giving. That's how I am. And it fills my cup when I do that. But to have a full cup, hand it to someone and they're like, ew, this doesn't taste like, I wanted Gatorade. It's like, oh, that's pretty shitty. It's a shitty experience. And so what we talked about was, you have to be able to know how your partner gives love. And when they're doing that, acknowledge them for that. But also the other person needs to know how the person receives love. And then the whole conversation went, well, if I'm going to change the way that I show you that I love you, are you now obligated to change the way that you show me how you love me? Mm-hmm. Right? Because I love being touched. Someone touches my shoulder, touches my leg. But that's not how you give love.
Right.
And so here I am not feeling loved and appreciated because I'm not being touched, caressed, or what thing. Oh. Because there's not that connection between the two of us. That's the whole thing for me, is like, if I'm doing my job, there's a connection. If I'm not doing my job, there's no connection. Where for you, that's not how you give love. You give love by planning birthdays and making things like beautiful and making the house beautiful and making
it's more just like taking the stressors of the kids and making sure you don't have to think about that shit.
And so my whole thing was, and this is where the conversation came into play, it was like, if I recognize that your way of receiving love is acts of service as opposed to gift giving, I can still give you gifts. But if I really want you to know that I love you, I've got to do that.
You got to make sure the cup is also full of my needs. It can't just be a full straight cup of Gatorade. I want a little vodka in it.
And so your dad, the conversation's over. We move on. Your dad and I are outside, and your dad kind of brings it up loosely and says, in our generation, we just did what our spouses asked us to do because that's how you love someone. I mean, you just take care of them. Like that was it. Sweet. And I thought, yeah, well, that's pretty simple.
Yeah, it's true. I just said, we're like, there's 5 languages. Blah, 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 blah.
Well, as we evolve, this is the problem, even with technology, as we evolve and start streamlining things and getting to know things at a deeper level, sometimes we overcomplicate these things.
It's true.
And when it comes to love, your dad just simplified. He said, like, do what you need to do to make the person know that you love them. If they want a hug, give them a hug. If they want a sandwich, make them a sandwich. Mm-hmm. If they want the laundry picked away, put the laundry away.
Just stare at it.
But it does come down to it. Like, if I'm going to change my love language to match your love language, but you're not going to change your love language to match my love language, that's where resentment kicks in.
There needs to be a conversation.
Don't do it. Conversation.
Okay,
always.
so I want to quickly talk about this because we actually heard this story a couple of years ago. I think I saw it on a TikTok, and I remember being like, holy shit, this was wild. And you were like, it's funny because the Tylenol or Advil or whatever medicine you're taking, you know how it has the seal. The seal. And you're like, the reason why it's sealed is because of this incident. So basically it was in the 80s, I think. Yeah. So
yeah, 70s or 80s.
It was in the 80s. So this 12-year-old girl wakes up in the 80s. Her name is Mary, and she's not feeling very well. So before school, she pops a Tylenol, extra strength.
Her parents give her a Tylenol.
Whatever. She takes a Tylenol. And no, they didn't, because they did. I just read it.
Okay.
So
she took one.
Mary takes a Tylenol, and a little while later,
7 o'clock,
10 minutes later, her father hears like thump. And so he comes in.
Here for the gangbang. This is not funny. This is not fun. This is not a laughing matter. But the fact that you made that, I could not do it.
That's so.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mary. Mary.
Her dad just coming in to be like,
Mary, I'm so sorry.
Okay. Anyway, she
7 o'clock
was only
that night.
12. No, it was before school. Just listen. Yeah. Okay. So she's 12, and her dad comes in and checks on her, and she isn't like she's not responding.
She's dead.
She fucking died.
She died.
So later, or the same day, a couple hours later, this guy, Adam, is driving home from work on his lunch hour, and he's got a migraine. And he's going to pick up his kids from preschool, and he pops a Tylenol and doesn't make it home, dies. So they're like, what the fuck? The family is grieving. They go to Adam's house to kind of like congregate and just kind of be like, what the hell is happening? Including Adam's brother and sister-in-law. So his wife, Stanley and Teresa, I think was her name. So they both aren't feeling well.
Well, they say when you're mourning, headaches are a common symptom of mourning. So both of them have a headache.
Yeah. So they're at Stanley's house. Or they're at Adam's house and they take the same Tylenol that he had taken and they both fucking drop dead. And so now the police are called. They're thinking it's like a gas leak because there's 3 people. Well, 2 because the one died elsewhere.
But died after leaving the house.
Right. Died after leaving the house. So they check. There's no gas leak. They then start looking at the food that they were eating, nothing. There's like 3 other incidents.
It's like 7 in total.
7 people died. And a doctor, actually 2 firemen noticed the similarities between Mary, the first 12-year-old, and the 2 people that died, Adam's brother-in-law and sister-in-law, and kind of put 2 and 2 together. And they deducted and went backwards and noticed that all these people had taken...
They did a toxicology report.
Yeah, so they took blood.
Yep.
And because at first they looked at the Tylenol and it didn't seem like there was anything wrong with it. They noticed that 6 pills were missing. And so they had taken, the toxicology report from the people that passed away and then found out that there was cyanide. And the whole plant was shut down for investigation because it was purposeful.
Yep.
Somebody literally, and it was in Chicago. Sorry, I forgot to tell you that.
So yeah, it was, but it wasn't at the plant.
Yeah.
So it did not happen at the plant. So Tylenol was able to prove that those bottles were not tampered with as they left their facility.
Okay.
And because it was located only in one area, they were able to determine, because keep in mind, and you'll learn this from a business standpoint, any policy and procedure that exists only exists because at some time it didn't and they got sued really badly for it. So Tylenol at the time was the #1 over-the-counter medicine for everything. Mm-hmm. It had like massive share in the entire space, right? Like, I don't even know what it was, like 80%. They plummeted. They predicted that Tylenol would be dead to rights. They were screwed. Mm-hmm. They have 7 people dying from their plant. Like, you're talking massive amounts of lawsuits. Predicted that they were toast. They were able to prove that it didn't happen. But at that time, they'd never had seals. Mm-hmm. So when you open up a Tylenol, now the outside's sealed. And when you open it in, the inside's sealed. This is literally designed because of this situation that occurred here. What had happened was someone went into the drugstore and actually injected the liquid Tylenol with cyanide.
Wow.
They were able to find a handful of more of other.
But what do you mean? Like they took each pill and injected.
So these were
cyanide?
These were the liquid Tylenols.
Yeah.
They literally injected with a needle cyanide into the.
So they opened up the Tylenol.
Tylenol.
Sealed.
Took on a Tylenol pill, injected it into like multiple bottles. I think they found like 20 bottles.
Just random
bottles, all in the Chicago area. They never found out who did this.
Right.
But today, if you look at your medicine, it's got the seal on it because 7 people died as a result of this. But you think to yourself, this is medicine we're talking about.
Yeah.
Why would that policy not exist to begin with? Because no one thought someone's going to go in there, buy these bottles, throw a bunch of cyanide into them, bring the bottles back, put them on the shelf and let someone buy them.
People are fucked.
Terrible.
Okay.
But this put you down a little bit of a rabbit hole.
It really
We went from conspiracy theories to like weird, strange deaths.
Okay. So I
found you went down this hole. So hole away.
I found this article that is titled 10 Bizarre Accidental Death Stories. And some of them are just like, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, how did your uncle die? And then you tell the story and you're like, there's no fucking way. Like, it's just so bizarre.
I haven't heard these. So
no.
Tell away.
Okay. So this happened in 2016. And this guy, Robert, he was 47. He was fishing with his friends and they were catching a fish native to Tanzania. They were fishing. It doesn't matter where. Anyways.
Tanzania?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, they were fishing, and so a lot of the fish were still alive, flopping around at their feet. Okay?
I'd hope so. Yeah, it's
But
usually how fish get caught.
These fish were jumping.
Just scooping up
fish.
the dead fish in Tanzania.
Listen, many of which were still alive and flopping about on the basin and by their feet. Okay, so these were like known to be like fish that could jump. Suddenly, one fish gave an extra spirited flop.
What's that fish known? The ability to jump out of water.
Listen, the fish fucking flopped into the air. Robert looked up and it went straight into his mouth and he fucking suffocated and died. And you're like, oh no, this is a floppy fish. Robert died.
Robert deep-throated a fish?
He did. It's so sad because they watched helplessly as this fish is literally like choking him.
Well, the problem is the fish would keep trying to survive. So literally the tail would be like, he's struggling.
So Robert actually survived like the journey to the hospital. Like even though he was like very obviously short of breath. He died,
2016.
And
That's
they were
recent.
they were just about to do emergency surgery, but they did anyways to remove the fish. But like, I just can't imagine that's how you like. How did you die? Well, a fish jumped down my throat. Like it's just so sad. I can't do it. Okay, so the next one.
That is a strange way to die.
It is. This one's like I feel this one's bizarre, but cryotherapy. You know where you're in the cold or whatever, that's more of like a new thing. So it's
body hackers.
Yeah. It's like similar to the ice bath. Okay. So while the health benefits are questionable, this actually doesn't matter. This girl, Chelsea, in 2015, she was 24. She worked at the Las Vegas spa where they do this. She decided to do a quick treatment after hours alone. Although the details are unclear, they said that she lost consciousness and was found dead, like frozen, completely solid. Her coworkers found her the next day. Isn't that wild?
Yeah, like you're not supposed to be in there for like you're only there for like a couple of minutes at most.
She died from asphyxia due to low levels of oxygen, and then she just fucking froze.
She legitimately would have froze.
This one's disgusting, and I think this is just stupid. But in 2012, Edward, he was 32. He wanted a python really, really bad. So I guess the owner of a reptile store in Florida was giving one away in a contest to whoever could eat the most cockroaches.
Oh,
yeah,
I think
heard that right.
I think I'm going to tell another story.
Who could ever eat the most cockroaches wins a python. Like, first of all, what kind of dude is like, yeah, that's what I want to be known for. So Edward was winning against 30 other people who thought the same thing. To eat a cockroach? Yeah. That's so... I could
challenge.
Never. No. Would you be able to eat a cockroach?
I don't want a python.
It doesn't matter. Could you eat one?
If it was for something I wanted, yeah.
Anyways, he tried. He was already winning. And so then he was like, fuck it, I'm going to take the belt and go further. So he just kept shoving them down his throat, and he literally died because he fucking was choking on cockroaches. Ew, why? It's so gross. I can't. I just think that's so gross.
Here's a story. Now this may be an urban myth. I didn't know it was an urban myth until I told this story to someone, and they're like, yeah, I heard that story too. Because the way that I was told the story was one of my friend's teachers. This is how he told me. It was him. Okay. So I assumed I was getting it second person once removed, right?
Okay.
He had a python or some boa constrictor or some very large snake. And he used to sleep with this snake in his bed all the time. And one day he woke up and the snake was stiff as a board, like dead stiff as a board, right beside him. And he thought, oh, that was strange. And then the next day he woke up and the snake was dead stiff as a board again. Now, he unstiffened himself earlier in the day. So it's not like he stayed stiff for the entire day.
I'm just picturing.
So he picks up the phone on the way home from school. Because again, this was a teacher that I was told happened to. He picks up the phone and he calls the vet. And he says to the vet, this is what's going on. And the vet says, where are you right now? He says, I'm on my way home. He said, do not go home. He said, what do you mean don't go home? He said, when you get home, that snake is going to eat you. He said, what are you talking about? He's been preparing his stomach and he's been laying beside you to make sure that you will fit in his body.
Oh my God, that's disturbing.
That's why he's laying beside you stiff, is to just make sure you're long enough for him to swallow you.
That's so disturbing.
So they had to bring in pet control and all of that fun stuff. And sure as shit, that snake was waiting for him. So that it could be an urban myth, but RJ Clay told me it, and he told me that it was his teacher. So
you're like, I heard this on Freaky
either
Stories.
His teacher's lying or
do you
whatever.
remember that show, Freaky Stories?
I got one more to say. It's a kind of the toe.
Okay.
This isn't you don't think it's a warning?
No.
I think it's a good warning.
Personal.
It's personal. I won't mention the names.
Okay.
But I think it's a good warning.
Okay.
This is a good warning. Public.
This is a good warning.
Public service announcement. So a friend of mine, colleague, client, friend of mine, his son recently was rushed to the hospital. He woke up one day paralyzed. The kids couldn't figure out what was wrong with him. Right across his back, couldn't move. They had to change him. They had to bring him to the hospital. Sure enough, he gets this blood infection, the staph infection in his blood. So I find out about this. We're devastated. It's been like 2 weeks, whatever, constant communication back and forth. Well, we're on the phone with them the other day. And I said, did they ever find out what happened to him? And he said, yeah, it was an ingrown toenail.
Staph infection from an ingrown toenail.
He had an ingrown toenail. Now, we've all probably had ingrown toenails or ingrown hairs or anything along those lines. And his toe was swollen and it was red. And his mom had said to him, that looks like a staph infection. You should get that checked out. And he said, don't worry, Mom. It happens all the time. It goes away after a couple of days. Well, apparently he stubbed his toe and it didn't go away. And with a staph infection, now keep in mind, I'm not a doctor and I don't know anything about this, but I learned all of this on the phone. So I could be wrong. Please don't correct me if I am, but this is a public service announcement. With a staph infection, it has two paths to take. It either goes after your heart or it goes after your most vulnerable position, which is usually joint pains.
So if previous injuries.
Or if you ever had a previous injury, it goes after your joints or it goes after your heart. And if you've had a previous injury, it goes after the joint that you hurt. And he had separated his shoulder, which is why it went across his entire shoulders.
And then the closest thing was the
heart.
artery. Yeah.
Yeah, the heart. Fucked. So anyways, public service announcement. If you have an ingrown toenail or you have fungus on your toe, there's commercials that say, oh, that's an ingrown toenail. It's fine. It's not fine. It can cause... It does.
Yeah.
And it can.
Do you have an ingrown toenail? Okay. So
last one.
First of all, this one I didn't know. Just the first sentence did you know that there's been like multiple deaths at Disneyland? Like, I didn't know that. The first sentence literally says, well, many tourists have met untimely ends at Disneyland. I'm like, what? Which makes me want to go on another deep dive rabbit hole.
Makes me want to go to Disneyland.
Yeah. Okay. So this happened to a man. He's 33 and he was a software engineer. He was visiting the park with his family on Christmas Eve in 1988. So his death is believed to be the first at the park caused by an operator error. Usually it's like accidental, but this was human error. So the family was waiting to board the Columbia, a replica of 18th century ship, and one of the park's tamest rides. The ride's operator, who was also severely injured, failed to dock the ship properly, and a metal cleat pulled loose from the ship. Under high tension, it sailed through the air and struck Dawson squarely in the face, killing him instantly. Can you imagine? Fucking the best place on earth. You witness a murder. Like, it's so sad.
Well, that wasn't murder. That was just death.
That's fair.
That's fair. I saw a TikTok video.
The ship murdered him.
I saw a TikTok video the other day and it made me absolutely bawl. It's a video
I wasn't done. Hold on. Afterwards,
there's more?
Well, I thought this was an interesting fact. Park officials came under criticism for cleaning up the accident scene before the police had arrived. But this is likely because the police took over 4 hours to get there, which is why the incident resulted in a full-time police station being installed in the park. Which I didn't know, which I thought was kind of interesting.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Hold on. This is the worst one. Can I just tell this last one? It's so fucked. Okay. Sure. In 2015,
I'll tell my stories.
This 30-year-old woman was enjoying a day at the mall with her 2-year-old son. Okay. She was killed in a bizarre and grisly accident. As she descended the escalator, the bottom floor panel that concealed its inner workings suddenly gave way. Thinking quickly, she tossed her toddler to a nearby mall employee and safely, a split second before disappearing into the churning machinery. Another employee attempted to grab her, but the incident simply happened too fast. Horrified onlookers could do nothing but watch as the woman was sucked into the escalator's inner workings. How fucked is that?
That's terrifying.
Isn't it? It's like what's that? Oh God. Where death comes for you. Oh my God. Like the plane, Final Destination. It's like, that's how you would die in a movie like that.
There's a video of that one.
Are you serious?
There's a video of it happening?
So morbid.
Really?
No. Oh. Why do you know that?
Jake's seen it. Jake's seen some
I could never watch it. I could never watch it, but I know people are going to Google it now. I couldn't. I don't want to see that. No, you can't. I don't want to see it. Like, I don't want to know. I think my brain
2 girls, 1
worse.
cup.
Oh God.
Jake's into some dark shit.
Oh my God. I forgot about that video.
I saw this video and this is going to put things into perspective. it's this father on vacation with his little kid, and he's going down the slide and he's throwing him up and down in the water, and it's just beautiful. And the woman's it's either you hear the woman's voice or you see the writing. It says, "We didn't realize that this would be our last summer together." Aww. The father obviously passed away. People don't die every single day. And whether it's a freak accident, car accident, heart attack, whatever, it happens. The reality of it is nothing's guaranteed. No. Enjoy the people that are in your life when they're in your life. No drama, no worries, no concerns, no considerations. Just enjoy the people that are in your life when you have them, because you really don't know when you're going to lose them. And one day, all of a sudden, a fish might just jump up and go right down your throat. You never know.
Or Robert.
With that being said, beep, 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 beep.
Aside from my soul.